book lovers, it's Jenny at Julia Baby Jen's Reading Room with a book haul for early June. Alright, a little bit to show you today. First of all, before I get started, I have to apologize if I don't sound very good or look very good. My allergies are insane right now. The last couple of days have been horrible. I don't know what is blooming outside, but it is driving me nuts. I've been popping allergy pills like nothing, it's not helping. So I tend to keep losing my voice and things like that. So, you know, you gotta suffer through it. Anyway, first I'm going to go over ebooks. I only bought 2 ebooks the last few weeks. I bought 2 novellas by Dean Koontz, The Neighbor and Wilderness. The Neighbor is the prequel to The City, and Wilderness is the prequel to Innocence, which I still haven't read yet. So I picked those up. And then the rest are all e-arcs I got from NetGalley, and I got several. So here we are. First of all, I got The City from Dean Koontz, which I'm really excited that I got that. I've got Heir of Fire from Sarah J. Maas. Super excited to get that. The Girl Who Never Was by Skylar Dorset, which looks really good, and I keep seeing all over the blogosphere, so it's a fantasy, I believe. No One Needs to Know by Amanda Grace and Manny Hubbard, which looks like a lesbian contemporary story, so we'll see if that's any good. Stitching Snow by R.C. Lewis, which is a new Disney one, and it looks like a fairy tale retelling fantasy type story. Welcome to the Dark House by Lori Faria-Stillartz, who I always follow. This is her new book, and I got approved for it, so I'll let you know how it is. Dark Metropolis by Jacqueline Dolomar. That one is a new author and a new book, and it looks really, really good. So I'm really excited for that. Since Forever Ago by Olivia Bessie, which is a contemporary, I believe, contemporary romance. 5 Ways to Fall by K.A. Tucker, another in the 10 Tiny Breasts series. I love this series. I haven't read 4 Seconds to Lose yet. I really need to read that. The Vast and Brutal Sea by Zoraida Cordova, which I still have not read the first book, but I do own it. So this is the sequel to The Vicious Deep, and it's a mythology fantasy, and I really want to read it. Glitch by Brenda Pandos. Brenda Pandos is one of my favorite indie authors, and this is her new book. Night School Legacy by C.J. Doherty. I read the first Night School book last fall or summer, and I really liked it. And so I got approved for the sequel. I think it's actually been out for a little while, but I haven't picked it up. Vivian Apple at the End of the World by Katie Coyle. I really don't know what that one's about, but the title totally intrigued me, so I thought I would try it. Zack and Mia by A.J. Betts. A.J. Betts, yep. That's a contemporary. And Perfected by Kate Jarvik Birch, which looks like a new dystopian thriller type, which looks good. Let's see. The Dark World by Carolyn Schultz. I don't know what that one's about either, but I've read Carolyn Schultz before, and I did like her books, so thought I'd try her new one. Played by Liz Fichera. I read her... oh, goodness sakes. This is the sequel. The first book, oh man, I totally blanked on the title. But it's a good book. I enjoyed it. And so, yeah, I would like to read the sequel. And then We Are the Goldens by Dana Reinhardt, which you've probably seen everywhere. It's everywhere on the blogosphere. It's supposed to be really good. So I got an e-arc, and I'm happy to try it. So those were my ebooks I got the last few weeks. Now on to the physical books. These are all from the library. I have not bought any books. When I get back from Nashville, I'll probably have a stack of books to show you then, hopefully. This is what I got from the library. I guess I picked them up last week. The first book that I have, I've already read. I read it yesterday, all in one day. It's a really quick read, and I really recommend it. We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. Her actual name is Emily Lockhart. This book was amazing. Now, first of all, it's not a very big book. It's like 225 pages. So it's a really quick read, but it's really deep. And I could see this being like a new contemporary classic type book, like Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson, or Hate List by Jennifer Brown, or The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I don't think it's quite as good as The Fault in Our Stars, but it was a really good book. 5-star read. Basically, it is about, the main character is Katie. Her name is Cadence, and she goes by Katie. And she is part of a very rich family. Her grandparents are the Sinclairs, and it's Harris and Tipper, and they make quite a bit of money. And they own this private island off of Martha's Vineyard. So this is the map of their private island. And Harris and Tipper had 3 girls, 3 daughters, and so they each got a house on this island. And there are several grandchildren, but the 3 oldest are Katie, she's the very oldest, and then Johnny, who is, and then Mirren. So they're all within like a year of each other in age. They're all from the 3 different women, and then there's younger ones on top of that. And then there's Gat, who is related kind of by marriage to Johnny, and he's allowed to come to the island as well, and he's the same age as these 4. So these 4 kids kind of bond together when they're about like 8 years old, and they call themselves the Liars, and because they wreak all kind of havoc on the island when they're there for the summer. So they spend every summer together on this island. The story is about Katie has some kind of accident. They find her on the beach almost naked, and she's hit her head and doesn't have any memory of anything that happened, and she's now suffering like severe migraines and amnesia type of thing from this accident. And this happened when they were 15, and it's now current day. She's 17. She hasn't been back to the island because when she was 16, her dad took her for the summer to Europe. And so this is her first summer back to the island, and she wants to try to remember what happened, because no one will tell her, and it's like this big hush family secret. And the family's gotten really weird. They were always a little weird, but they've gotten really weird, and weird things are going on. And so it's kind of a suspenseful thing to figure out how this accident happened, and so she's trying to recover her memory. So that's basically the story. It kind of does a lot of flashbacks kind of thing as she starts to remember some things, but and flashbacks of memories she has of the 4 of them together. It's just really good. What actually happens is a pretty big twist, and I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give it away if you haven't read it. I kind of figured some of it out just from deduction. I'm pretty good at figuring things out by clues. I didn't figure all of it out, but I did figure some of it out. So, but even though I had figured a little bit of it out, I kind of knew it was going to happen. I had this feeling. It still hit me really hard, and yeah, I was tearing up by the end, and it was pretty emotional at the end. So it's a really good story. I really, really enjoyed it. Now I have to say that I didn't really enjoy Katie all that much as a main character. She's not, I mean, and I've talked to some other people who've read it, she's not like the most sympathetic main character you'll ever meet. She kind of takes her life for granted. It's not perfect, but she has a lot more than a lot of other people, and she tends to get a little snobby. So there's that. But even though I really didn't I didn't hate her, but I didn't really love her as a character. I really liked Gat. He was my favorite, I think, and I kind of liked Johnny. But even though I didn't really love Katie, I still really felt for her by the end of the book. That's how strong this book is. The writing is really good. It has metaphors throughout it, and is a really good read. Like, it's really easy to get sucked into this world. So I'm sorry I'm talking forever about this book, but it's a 5-star read. I loved it. You probably heard about it because it's kind of been talked about everywhere, but yeah, definitely pick it up if you can, because it's really good reading. Okay, moving on. I got Bruiser from Neal Shusterman. My good friend David recommended. Of course, I've been wanting to read it anyway because it's Neal Shusterman, but he recommended this book was really good, so they had it at the library, so I grabbed it, excited to read it. I'm kind of hoping I'll have time to read it this week. We'll see. I got Diamonds in Deceit by Layla Rashid, who, this is a sequel to Cinders and Sapphires, which I really liked. If you have not read, it hasn't gotten very much hype, this series. It's not the best one I've ever read, but I enjoyed it. It's Downton Abbey kind of would make it makes me think of that a little bit. It's that, I can't remember what time frame it is. I think it's a little bit earlier in time frame than Downton Abbey, but it's in England. And yeah, it's this rich family and all their things. Cinders and Sapphires, it's a little bit of the story of Cinderella, but not completely. You can see the fairy tale influence on it, but it's not a really specific Cinderella story. So it's more, I would call it more historical fiction than a retelling, really. And I enjoyed it. So, and I like that it, even though it was historical and it had all the historical influences and, you know, world, there was still a few things that made it feel modern when you're reading it. It didn't feel like a really old historical book when I was reading it. I thought that was kind of, it was kind of cool that way. It felt a little more fresh. So this is the sequel, Diamonds in Deceit, so I'm excited to read that. Then I got Across a Star-Swept Sea by Diana Peterfriend. I read For Darkness Shows the Stars not too long ago, and I really, really liked it. It's a 4.5 star rating. It was really good. It's a fantasy, but kind of a dystopian too. And it's a futuristic society, but it has some fantasy elements, but it's not strict fantasy. It is a little bit, it's more of a sci-fi fantasy, actually, now that I think about it. But it's told in a way that makes it feel like a fantasy old-fashioned fairy tale. So it's really one of those books that's very unique. I haven't read anything like it. I haven't read anything like it. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was a really good read, and it was a very thick book. A lot happened in it. There wasn't a ton of action, but there was always something going on, kind of. It was really good. It was a retelling of I can't remember. It was kind of a retelling of a book, and I can't remember which book it was a retelling of now. But this is a sequel, Across the Star-Swept Sea, and I can't wait to read this one because I liked the first one. Alright, this is turning out to be kind of a long video. The last book I got is a nonfiction book, The Happiness Project by Gretchen Rubin. I hadn't heard of this at all. It's been out for a while. A couple of my, it's got crumbs on it from my table. A couple of my art friends recommended it. Actually, I talked about this in my nail art haul video I just did, but we had a swap where you made each other a bookmark based off of a book that inspired you, and so Mary Jane sent me the Happiness Project bookmark. And then another art friend, Carrie, mentioned that she liked the book too. So I thought, okay, if two people like it, I should probably try it. So I don't read tons of nonfiction, but every once in a while I like to read nonfiction. It sounds like kind of an inspirational book, but kind of more like, I don't know. Gosh, what is all over this book? I don't think that's for me. I think that might be on there from whoever checked it out, because I haven't even read it yet. It's been sitting on my shelf. Okay, so it looks more like a chick lit type nonfiction book, if that makes sense. Kind of like Eat, Pray, Love, maybe, or what's another? I don't know. I can't think right off the top of my head, but something along those lines a little more. So we'll see if I enjoy it. She wrote a sequel too, so if I like this one, I'll read the sequel. So I'll probably start this in the next few days. I like reading nonfiction occasionally. It says, The Happiness Project, or Why I Spent a Year Trying to Sing in the Morning, Clean My Closets, Fight Right, Read Aristotle, and Generally Have More Fun. So, yay. Happiness Project. I'm a pretty happy person, so I don't know if this will teach me anything, but I guess it's worth it to be inspired. All right, so that's my book haul for the last couple weeks, I guess. Leave me a comment below if you've read any of these and what you thought. And so I've got, with my e-arcs, I've got a pretty good reading list for the summer here. And actually, I have several other books I wanted to read this summer too. So I've got way too many e-arcs to read. So I might have to pick and choose a little bit. I hope you guys all have a good day. I will talk to you later. Bye.